morning, all, or happy lunchtime for my friends in South Downs and the rest of you living in the future. And welcome to Kal-bardr's Corner for this episode of Coffee with Kal. I am Lord Kal-bardr Gellir, Painting the Meridian Cross, Painting the Argent Comet, Painting the Compostela, and Reaper, coming to you live from the Barony of the Osprey on the southern coast of Meridies. Now, so of course, since this show is coffee themed, we have to discuss our coffee and our gorgeous black beans of goodness. Today I'm keeping it simple. I have the hazelnut from 8 o'clock coffee. It is my wife's personal favorite, and figured a nice, mellow, just chill flavor for today. So, and if, you know, as always, out of my Feed the Ravens mug for my Westie Westies. Thanks, guys. It's my very favorite cup. It's a good cup. Well, it's one of my two very favorite cups. Of course, you got my Kal-bardr Corner giant mug of awesomeness that is also my favorite. So. All right. Now the introductions are out of the way, coffee's out of the way. I have actually a little bit of business I want to get into before we get into today's topic. So as of yesterday, the Kingdom of Artemisia has new heirs. And I would like to extend a heartfelt congratulations and just an amazing yay to my good friends and co-hosts, now Prince Sean and Princess Nisa. So Sean was able to best the list yesterday and take the top slot. So he and Nisa will be taking over as the heirs. They're now the heirs and we're taking over his crown here in a few months. So I'm super excited for them. Super excited to now have a princess as a guest host or as a co-host on one of my shows. That's gonna be super fun. I'll have to drag Sean on for another show now, just so we have a him and his princely right on the show. So congratulations to them, and also additional congratulations to Sean specifically. Their Majesties of Artemisia also extended him an offer to join the Pelican yesterday. So just congrats all around. It was a super good day for Sean and family. So I'm super happy for them. So what else? That's what else I need to do. Oh, and of course, happy 4th of July. For those coming into us from the U.S., it is Independence Day, a very important day in our country. So for those of you who are not in the U.S., happy Sunday, I guess. Yeah, please be careful blowing up things today. Don't shoot fireworks unsafely. Remember, you have people out there with PTSD and animals that don't deal with this holiday well. So please be considerate and understand that. All right. I think that's all the business. We have business later too, but so let's start with today's topic. So this one's been rolling around my head for a while. The SCA is reopening, right? So we're now into the sort of first phase of events reopening, events starting to happen again. Fighter practices are happening. Meetings are starting to happen. And man, it's weird. I'll admit. Okay, so for me personally, I want to sort of talk about this from. I had a business trip last week. It was my first having the people in person in a while. I mean, admittedly, I went to a wedding a week or so ago too, or a couple weeks ago. But it was different, right? So I was peopling with people that I needed to interact with and was like having to directly be part of the organization and sort of talk and have meetings and interact with largely what the SCA is going to be like, right? When I was at the wedding, it was just me and a people. It wasn't like I wasn't directly having to interact. I was sort of just there. So it was a little different. I realized, I was exhausted. Peopling's hard. So I started thinking SCA stuff as we start opening this back up. Like that's my first concern. Is like, this is going to be exhausting for a bit, right? Most of us have been locked down for a year and a half, almost 2 years now. It's going to be different. It's going to be weird. We're going to have to sort of reacclimate ourselves to people and to dealing with crowds and dealing with good and bad and all that. So I'm going to talk about that a little bit today. And then just some of the good and bad, some of the concerns, right? So every kingdom's handling this differently. I'll speak from a lot from here in Meridies, but every kingdom is doing this a little different. Every kingdom's done the PandAMNic differently. So Meridies did something early on that I think I really liked, which was they set a reopening plan. So there was we had numbers, we had values, we had exact things of when you meet this goal, you can do X, Y, and Z. Now, none of us got to those goals. Let me be very clear here. The reopening plan was a goal, but it never got reached, right? So basically, we had to get to a certain number, 0.04 new cases per day for a week before we could do any kind of meetings or anything locally. And it was like within our geographic each group. No group of Meridians got there. So recently, Their Majesties, in discussion with their COVID team and the Kingdom Seneschal, decided to adjust the plan so that everybody's in phase 1 of the plan, which is we were in phase 0 previously, so we're in phase 1 now, which allows for 20-person meetings, basic fighter practice and that, and within the local area. And they took the numbers that they had previously, the 0.4, 0.3, 0.2, or whatever, and shifted them over for phase 2, phase 3, phase 4. And I'm feeling that's going to keep changing. We're going to keep shifting those numbers as we get more vaccines and things like that. But it's been nice to have that plan, right? A lot of people didn't agree with it. A lot of people didn't like what Meridians did, within Meridians even, because the numbers weren't accurate, the numbers weren't available. We couldn't always see hospital counts, things like that. But I think what we did here that was different than other kingdoms is we had a goal. We had a definable, achievable, measurable goal, which is important. So anybody's ever done any kind of business training, talking about goals, there's what's called a SMART goal, which is basically gives you it's an acronym of it has to be measurable, it has to be attainable, it has to be realistic, it has to be time based. So, but the measurable and achievable and then realistic, right? Those are 3 things that we had in that goal. Other kingdoms didn't do that. It was just like, all right, we're closed, just hard closed. There's no, we'll discuss it when we want to. Or some kingdoms we're still open, and they just stayed open the entire time. Other than what they took whatever the bod said and went with that. So the minute the board of directors opened back up for whatever limitations, that group reopened. And that was an option, right? But I think when we did that in Meridians, the Majesties did a really good job with making sure that we had a plan and had a goal to look forward to, which for me took away a lot of the anxiety of knowing what's going to happen tomorrow, knowing what's going to happen next week, right? Honestly, it always can change, but there was at least some sort of a progression to look at. Other kingdoms, man, I've been watching it and going, man, I've been stressing out for people in California. I've been stressing out for people in even Glenalvin and just across the border from me, because they don't know day to day what they're going to do or what the bod might do, or if the bod changes a thing and it immediately goes into effect in their kingdom. Oh God, we got to shuffle now, right? Well, at least with Meridians, we had it where it didn't matter what the bod did. That was because that's the minimum, right? That's the government standard. We as a state or as a kingdom can always go further than that, can always further restrict, and we had. So it made the change a little slower and a little more progressive, really, a little more, in pieces, so that we could see it, which for me took a lot of stress. Now, there's still some stress, and there's still some ideas of, okay, well, what's next? We're starting to plan for events now. Osprey got Gallup coming up. Specifically, we have Gallup and Coronation now, apparently. And we don't know what that's going to look like. That's October. So we don't know what that's going to look like. We're trying to, I guess, anticipate or guess what the rules for food's going to be, what the rules for water is going to be, how we're going to handle fighting and things. And but it's still better, I think, than we could have been. I don't know. So what are we going to talk about? Like this is a weird topic, right? I didn't have anything really planned to say today. I've just been chewing on this topic of I want to talk about my feelings in the reopening. And if you guys out there, please jump in the comments. Let me know what you think about what your kingdom's doing, what Meridians is doing, just how you feel. Like, so yeah, throw some of your comments in there. I'd like to hear how you guys feel about the reopening. Is it too soon? Are we still in the pandemic, right? Because it really feels like we're not anymore. I went out yesterday, and I saw a few masks here and there. Like we're not masking in most places anymore, if because we're my household's fully vaccinated now. So I only mask if the business requires it, and I do. If the business asks for it, if there's a sign up, I'll put the mask on every time. I keep one in my bag just in case. But most places we're not. And So I'm still seeing some masks, still seeing some that, but other than that, it feels like it's pre-pandemic again. We're back where we were, which is weird. And I'm feeling that the SCA events are going to be weird for a bit. So, I was looking at just a month ago now of when we were going to be comfortable about events. We've been vaccinated for 2 months now, somewhere in that region, and starting to look at, okay, well, events are starting to be planned. We're starting to discuss events, in-person events. When are we going to want to go? When are we going to feel comfortable traveling? And then when can we travel, right? So there's two parts of our reopening plan and sort of the rules in general. We are restricted by location. So right now in phase 1 of Meridia's plan, we are allowed to gather 20 person meetings within our geographical location, within the local group, essentially. Means I can't travel. Means I can't go to South Downs. I can't go to Tennessee. I can't go. Realistically, I can't even go to Pensacola, to like the next group over from us, because that then changes the numbers, and that has to go around their numbers. But then I'm not part of their numbers, so it's a weird thing, right? But also I can drive 10 minutes, 20 minutes across the border to Glen Albany and go fight, because they've been having fighter practice. They've been having events. They've got an event next weekend over in Glen Albany that I could go to. Which that's weird to me too. That's I think a weird thing of I can go to events right over there because I'm close enough, but I can't go to events. I can't, because we can't even actually hold an event in our local group right now. We can hold a fighter practice or a meeting or whatever, but we can't even hold an event yet because the numbers don't match. Oh, good morning, Your Highness. I see Her Highness the Mist has joined us. Welcome as always. It's weird. Yeah, I'm just gonna keep saying it's weird over and over again. I think that's where I'm at. The whole thing is weird, right? We're still figuring this out. We're still this is still a new thing for us, right? For the world in general. This is our first pandemic of this age. We don't have Twitter logs from the Spanish fever or Spanish flu. We don't have the what happened. We don't have Facebook wall memories from the pandemics of the past. And it was also probably it was their concerns were more localized, right? Our concerns now are more global. We have global concerns. We have, or at least countrywide concerns. I could care less what's going on in Australia right now. No offense to folks in Locock. I hope you guys are okay. I hope everything's going well for y'all. But I don't care. It doesn't affect me. Canada doesn't affect me. Mexico doesn't affect me. I care what's going on in my surrounding regions, but also I care about California. I care about my friends out in the West. I care about their highnesses in Artemisia now. I have to care about those because that's where my friends are and where I want to go to. And because of how we're handling this, because the SCA is structured the way it is, and I guess let me describe that, because I realize we have some new folks out there or folks who don't really understand how the SCA is broke down. So this is super easy for me to figure out if you're used to from the American government. So the American government has federal, state, and local laws. So the SCA.org, SCA corporate, sitting in California, is our federal government. They are our government body. The board is our federal government body. They set the rules. They set a minimum standard of rules, whether it's to do with fighting rules or event rules or insurance or whatever. Right? They set that, and they make sure that all the things we need on the lower ends we have. Right? They send the paperwork, they send out the insurance, they send out all the stuff we need to function, and they handle the business side. They handle sort of the big umbrella. Then you have the kingdoms. So kingdoms for the U.S. are like the states, right? And I know each kingdom consists of multiple states, but it's the same idea, right? So Alabama is part of the United States. So federal government, state government. So Alabama has its own governor, has its own Supreme Court, has its own governing body, Senate and House and whatever, right? That then set their own rules. But we have to maintain the minimum that was given us by the government, by the federal. So in the case of Meridia says, okay, this is what the SCA bod says. This is what the SCA organization says. Cool. We're not going to add to that. We're going to further structure that and add more to it. We can't take away from that. We can't take away the initial ball that the hand does. We can add to the ball, make the ball bigger. And then on a local level, so looking at Osprey, South Downs, whatever group you're part of, they take this ball that Meridier's hands them and goes, oh, okay, that's what we got to do. Well, we also can add to that, right? Meridier or Osprey can add to that or choose to just not do things, right? So we're like, okay, well, we don't want to have meetings under these restrictions. We're gonna keep our meetings virtual. So we can have an in-person meeting right now. We chose yesterday to have a virtual meeting because it was just easier for everybody. But we have to still maintain this minimum standard and then add to it. So, but because of that, where this gets weird for me is now you've got the federal government, our SCA org, setting their standard and then giving it to the kingdom, right? But when kingdoms like Meridier's and Glenalbin that are bordering drastically differ in their approach. And me, like, there's those of us who are on the border who can go boop and pop over. It puts us in a place. It's like, I want to follow my local laws, my local rules, and what my kingdom has said to do. But also, I want to go fight. I want to be able to go participate. I want to be able to do the things heading over there. Like, they're doing it. Why can't I go do it, right? That's been a weird place. For me. I don't know. And maybe I'm alone in that. Maybe I'm the only, I don't think I'm the only one experiencing that sort of like, disconnect, I guess. But maybe I am. And I'm not seeing anything from YouTube, by the way. So if anybody's commenting on YouTube, give me a second. I'm going to pull that stream up because I'm not seeing anything from YouTube. And that's unusual. That's funny. I say that, and then Runa comments, and I see one pop up. Hi, Runa. Let's see. I'm just gonna. Oh God, I broke it. Right now, even when we can have events, they have to be day trips. How will this impact schedules and planning? How we make events inclusive of newcomers? Okay. So again, talking about Meridier specifically here, and because the camping restriction is being lifted, I thought. Okay. I should have said this earlier. Anything I say today is strictly my opinions or what I've interpreted out of rules or I'm remembering. So please don't take anything I say as gospel or as rules. Refer back to the SCA org's bot announcements or to your local kingdom restrictions and regulations. Nothing I say is a rule. So yeah, so that's a good point. So okay, so for at least some period of time, we're gonna have a lot of restrictions. We can't have feasts the way we used to. We can't have fundraiser lunches the way we used to. We can't have, water bearing and fighter support like that the way we used to. So a lot of that's gonna be restricted. Now, I noticed something yesterday by His Majesty Meridier when he put out some new updated regulation yesterday that they are allowing sealed water bottles to be given out. That's part of the course. We're good with that, and sealed containers of food, right? So if we can give out you can have chips and things like that available, granola bars, what have you. I also noticed, and I'm pretty sure I have this correctly, that you can have a Gatorade cooler full of water or whatever, as long as there's individual containers. I thought I read that. Now I was trying to find it again this morning, so. Anybody's out there wants to find Tim's post mystery, I would appreciate pulling that up and pointing this mostly at Runa. Hey, Runa, find that post for me. But the idea, the problem we're going to have is camping and things like that, and sort of the open sharing of the SCA. Now, what I want to be very clear about is the rules that are being dictated is what the SCA group can do. All right? Now, this is where there's an interesting point of households within kingdoms and then within the SCA are not official. Households, mercenary bands, camps, whatever, are not official groups. So what that rule means is that the SCA Kingdom of Meridiers or the SCA Barony of the Osprey cannot, as part of the event, have a feast or hand out water or give out food or whatever. It doesn't mean that you in your household and your group, your local, your non-SCA group, your unofficial peerage house, your unofficial mercenary camp, whatever, could not extend some of those hospitalities. So what I'm thinking is going to need to happen to answer Runa's question is the things that the SCA is having to do to protect itself from litigation, right? Because that's all this is, right? Everything the SCA does is about protecting the organization from getting sued, and by proxy protecting us as members from getting hurt in some way. Like that's all, the reason we have armored combat rules is so that we get hurt less. But what it does mean is that we as individuals and we as local households and peers or whatever can take that burden away from the organization and pick that slack up to make sure that we're not losing out on the hospitality or the newcomer to things that we're going to lose for some period of time. Now, again, your local rules may vary and deal with this as you need to, but understand that the rules that are written from Meridies or from the kingdoms or from the SCA BOD apply to the groups and to the events as a whole. But like look at them and it says that the SCA can't do that. Doesn't mean we can't. Camping's even a little different. I know it's changed, and I'm trying to remember what the last change was, and I should have had this pulled up, and my apologies for not doing that. The camping rules are changing enough where I think that's not going to be an issue for very long. I know, and for Gellir for Osprey in October, we're already looking at camping. Like camping's just a thing we're going to do, because I'm pretty sure that I remember that as of July 1st, the camping restriction was lifted because they had to for like Gulf Wars and Little Leagues and things like that coming up. So I'm pretty sure camping's not an issue, but there will still be some restrictions on gathering and social distancing and all that. So just be wary of that, and again, try to start looking at, instead of relying on your local groups to do stuff, look at your household, look to the household, look to the peers, look to the folks who are outside of that power structure to maybe fill some of those gaps that you see are getting left open. And if you see a gap, if you see something like, oh man, we really wish we could do this, talk about that. Find somebody that you can talk to about it, and maybe find a way around it. But do it safely. I think that's the important part. Do it safely. So it may take a little extra effort. It may take some having bottled water, having sealed containers, pre-packaging food, whatever. Just understand that. That's that. So yeah, there's a good point. Yeah, having non-official stations for store-bought munchies. There you go. So now I will say this: be very careful. And this is, let me put my food prep person hat on here. I have a culinary background, so I'm particular about food things. Be very careful about distributing food, especially selling food. You start getting into some weird merchanting laws and rules and restrictions. Now, as long as it's store-bought and sealed, you're usually okay. Just make sure you're sort of pay attention to that, and also, check for make sure you're marking stuff for allergies and making sure you keep stuff separate if you can. If it's sealed, it shouldn't matter. You should be okay. Like if you've got crate of chips, it doesn't matter that you've got Doritos in there versus versus the regular Lay's potato chips. The bags can touch somebody. That's not or anything, so you're okay there. But be very careful when you're doing vendor things. If you're doing it as a vendor or a merchant, because that gets a little twitchy. But if you're just giving it away, you're fine. You're usually okay. But just check your local laws. Check your local legislations. And remember that if you ask the Seneschal is going to tell you no. They're going to tell you what the group rule is, and they're not going to tell you what their local rule is. So, FYI. All right, masks. Let's talk about masks for a second. So, the CDC says that if you're vaccinated, then masks are not needed in most open places, right? Because the mask is to protect others from you, not you from others, right? Masks are to limit your exposure or your coughing and whatnot from hitting other people. So if you're vaccinated, you're not infected, therefore you're not a problem. Now, I hope that we as a a culture will look at masks differently going forward. So if you look at, or if countries like China and Japan, a lot of the Asian countries, they wear masks regularly when they're sick to protect others from their sickness, right? So there's other sicknesses in the world other than just the COVID-19. COVID-19 is not the only virus in the world. There are 18 other COVIDs for one, at least 18 other COVIDs. And there's regular flus and Spanish flu and Western flu and bird flu and swine flu and pig flu and name a flu. But there's also just germs and other sicknesses and strep and whatnot. So if you are sick or feel sick or have a cough, first of all, don't go to the event. Stay home. We don't need you there that much. We want you at home getting better. But if you have to go because you're the seneschal or you're the exchequer or whatever, and you got to show up to take a thing, right? Even if you're just dropping off a thing, wear a mask, right? If you're unvaccinated and you can't get vaccinated, cool, that's fine. That's sure. If you can't get vaccinated for some reason, cool, I get it. Wear a mask. If you can get vaccinated, please go get vaccinated. I understand a lot of people don't like it. A lot of people don't trust it. It was rushed and blah, blah. Get vaccinated. It's important. Get your flu shots. Get your vaccine. These things are important. We have science. The flu shot's a little twitchy. That's a whole topic for another discussion. I'm of an opinion about flu shots, but larger vaccines, all your like MMRs and COVID and all these things, get them. They're important. Once we get to events, mask wearing is no longer mandated. It is by the honor system only. So the rule is, if you're unvaccinated, you're supposed to be wearing a mask. And I appreciate them doing this because it was the best way to allow those of us who are vaccinated to not have to wear masks, and to require those who are unvaccinated to wear masks, but also to give a border of, if you see somebody wearing a mask, it's okay still. It's a thing we're going to be seeing. So if you feel comfortable wearing a mask or you will feel more comfortable wearing a mask, wear a mask. Please do. There are still many vendors out there that are selling cool masks and selling printed things. And if you need help getting one of those, please reach out. I will, I'll make sure I'm sure we can find schedule with a vendor or help get you a cool mask to wear so you're not wearing just a regular medical mask for an event. I will personally help make sure that happens because I think that's an important thing. But if you see somebody wearing a mask, understand they're either doing it because they're more comfortable, or they're doing it because they feel because they're unvaccinated or because they need to. And if you're unvaccinated, wear one. This is an honored. We are an honor-based society. Honor, courtesy, chivalry. These are important virtues to this society as a whole, not just on the field. That's not just for fighters. It's not just for the knights. That's for all of us. Part of that honor and part of that courtesy and chivalry is for following the rules and respecting the organization and respecting others within this organization. So wear a mask. If you're unvaccinated or you have a cough or whatever, wear a mask. To do so is unchivalrous, and I'm gonna leave that at that. All right. Runa says, "Oh yeah, okay. I was getting to that." Hold on. There, I'll do that. Agreed. I finally got to come back online. I finally got to come back because online was accessible to more work schedule. Oh yeah, I'm gonna talk about online in a second because that's a whole. I have opinions about the online world here. Okay. Can we talk about the language you're hearing and using about being back? Yep. I feel like I was more active than ever in the last year. So yeah, so I got, and this is actually what spurred this talk. I got mad Wednesday, I think. I saw a post from the Mid-Realm, and I'm not ragging on the Mid-Realm here. I love friends up there and great people. But I saw a post in the Mid-Realm. It's like, welcome back, SCA. And it made me mad. Because there are those of us who've been here literally the entire time. As Runa said, I think I've been more active in the SCA via Kal-bardr's Corner, via KK Production stuff, via Between Two Peers, online events. I've taught more classes this year. I'm not getting to sit by fire. I'm not getting to go out fighting. I haven't swung a stick in a year. But I've been more active in the SCA. So the SCA is not the events, and I preach this a lot to people. So the SCA is a 24/7, 365 organization and family that exists. It is not Friday to Sunday every other weekend. This is not the National Guard. This is we are not just weekend warriors here. So yes, for some of you out there, that's all you see. That's all you ever see. The SCA is that was what goes on that Friday to Sunday, right? Because you're busy during the week. You've got kids. You've got lives. You've got other stuff going on. That's fine, right? And that's all you can participate. Cool. We appreciate you showing up. But there's a lot of us that participate all day, every day, 24/7. We're here. We're doing stuff, right? Actually, I've been doing stuff online for the entirety of the pandemic. And yes, I'm saying PandAMNic wrong on purpose. It's a thing. It's become funny. So when I saw "Welcome Back" or the SCA is returning, or it makes me mad because I get it. I get what they're doing. I understand the purpose, right? The SCA locally, the SCA in person is coming back, sure, right? The SCA never left, right? We were the ESCA for a bit. We were the SCA, but the SCA's been here. And it's a small thing. It's stupid, and I'm not really mad about it, but I realize it made me mad. I'm not going to tell them to stop. I'm not going to fuss if Meridia's does the same thing. I'm not going to but there's been a lot of people putting in a lot of hours between online, between classes stuff like this, between collegiums, hosting monthly, weekly meetings. Southbound has had a meeting or a thing every week, every Wednesday for the entirety of the pandemic, with only a few exceptions. There's been a couple nights here and there they've had to miss for various reasons, but it's been very, very, very few. And they're getting tired. It's tiring to do that, but they felt it was important, and it helped a lot of us get through this. That was for my first few months. That was my solace. That was the place I went to unwind and hang out and meet and see people. And there's been a lot of that going on. I've seen meetings all over between stuff, going on in the NIST with the His Highness doing the BART fighter practice he had between two peers. Their show ran for 52 episodes. Ask the Knights ran for 50-something episodes. Also, we've done with Peering at the Outlands. Shire Beaufort, they've had their monthly meetings here. In Meridia's, I've seen every one of those pop up. Burning Iron Mountain, they held classes monthly just to have them up. The Atlanta University hasn't missed a session yet. They've been doing quarterly online sessions that have been amazing. We've been here. The SCA hasn't left, right? We're just shifting back to going to in-person events again, but it's not back. So yeah, that's a pet peeve. It's a stupid pet peeve that shouldn't matter, but it does. I realize it did. So if you're out there, if you're a person putting together one of those flyers, please don't do that. It's my personal request, but I hope others will see that. Let's see. What else did I miss? Anything else? Questions, comments, concerns? I think the biggest thing, going back to the sort of honor and courtesy and chivalry thing, is that just be that. Remember that, right? So when we get back in person, I know this last year has been hard. So I actually want to separate something out. So the pandemic sucked. The actual virus and the virus stuff sucked, and it was bad. But on top of that, we had the 2020 election. We had Black Lives Matter. We had the Cheeto in chief being a twat waffle, and that seems like it was so far ago now. By the way, good God! But all of that went on. We have a lot of people that we saw their real faces. We have a lot of peers that we saw how they really felt about certain people, and we've lost a lot of folks, right? We've lost a lot of bad people that went off to other organizations, and we've lost a lot of good people because of those bad people. So when we come back, it's gonna look different. There will be less people there, or at least there'll be different people there. And it's going to be weird for a little bit, right? Now, those bad people may come back. Those good people may come back. I as a personal request and a charge, I guess, I charge all of you to remember that the SCA is about honor, courtesy, and chivalry. And that we need to remember that every day when we're dealing with people, not just at events, but in our daily lives, right? We are supposed to be the epitome of those things. And that as a knight of the society, as a pelican, as a laurel, as a royal peer, or just as a lord of the court, as just as a peasant, right? That's the goal. We expect it from the knights because they wear their chains saying they're going to do that. But really, it's all of our jobs is to be that. And if we do that, right, if we espouse those virtues that we talk about, the SCA becomes a better place. And I'm going to guess that the people watching currently don't need this speech. I'm literally preaching to my actual choir here. But I want to spread that word, right? And this is because it's on YouTube, so other people may see this later. But just be nice. Don't be mean to people. Let's be understanding, but also don't put up with bullshit. If you see a problem, if you see somebody, I don't care what fancy hat they're wearing or what medallion they're carrying. If you see somebody being bad and hurting someone else or being mean or being rude or whatever, point it out publicly, loudly, and as many people as you can. Go find the seneschal, go find the constables, fix those problems, right? If you're not comfortable doing that, find you a weaponized extrovert, find you someone who will. Say, hey, Cal, I saw, Duke such and such tried to cop a feel on teenage lady over there. Can you help me deal with this? The answer is yes, right? If I can't, I will find someone who will. I'll go find the seneschals. I'll go find the knights' councils. I'll go make that fix. We have been, and the SCA has been blind to that for too long. And that's something I think coming out of this pandemic, we're going to do more of. I'm hoping to see more of. People being held accountable, people being personally accountable, people being problems being dealt with. If not, we will lose this organization. We're coming back injured, right? The SCA is injured. We're coming back limping right now. We have to fight for it. We have to keep what we have and what we knew as the SCA. Right? So on top of all the pandemic stuff and on top of all of the pain coming back from that, we have to think about that. That just got deep. Sorry, guys. Got a little heavy there. My bad. I have think. This is what happens when I get on here by myself and just have my feelings at you. I just have feelings. So there you go. I'm almost not drinking my coffee. I'm almost out of show, and I'm running. Still have coffee left. Any questions, comments, concerns? See you out there. Thank you very much for showing up. I apologize for not promoting the show better, and also I apparently didn't even put it on Facebook until this morning. So, oh man, this work trip last week or so ago threw me for a loop. I'm still catching up from that, so that's the thing. Let's see what else. That's all I got, guys. I don't know. See a comment from Alice. Yes, we do. I agree, and that's even though I'm saying it to the 7 or 8 of you watching, we do. We need the reaffirmation of values. We need to remember as an organization who we are and what we are. And it's super easy to get wound up in the mundane of the SCA. Make sure we get our reports and make sure we're doing the meetings, and we forget the beauty, and we forget the pretty stuff. We forget the fun, or we focus on the fun and forget the chivalry. We forget the gravitas of our responsibilities. Question from Runa. How am I going to modify my video schedule when I'm traveling again? Well, that's a good question. I don't know yet, honestly. So I'm looking at events. All right, so it is now July. My first event in person will probably be, we're planning for Gulf Wars in October. Planning for it, don't know if it's going to happen or not, but we've got Gulf Wars in October. We've got Gellir in October. I've got Castle Wars in November. I've got maybe Red Tower in September, but that's a question when they're not sure if they're going to be able to do that yet or not based on restrictions. But my show schedule will adjust based on that, and will depend on sort of what events I'm going to. What I would like to do, and I've got a couple shows I'm talking about that are to actually, a couple shows we're looking to start. I talked to Duke Thorfinn about a show. I've talked to Duke James the Holy about a show. And there's a couple things coming up that'll be, some hit or miss shows here on Kal-bardr Corner. But as far as stuff I do, Coffee with Cal will stay around. We may end up having to adjust it back to in a different time slot, or it may have to be sort of 2 weeks a month, maybe not every other weekend. It may be just, I may do two on, two off, something like that. So, but as those adjustments get made, I'll adjust them. What I'll probably end up doing is, as I schedule events, I'll just adjust the schedule. If you're not subscribed to the calendar, I'll repost the calendar this week. There's a calendar there's a Google Calendar for Kal-bardr Corner that I have scheduled out. I'll also be putting my events on. What I'd like to do is, as we get back to events, start doing stuff at events. So I will be doing events as I can, and maybe doing some live things from events, pending cell signal and things like that. I talked to my buddy Scott, anybody who watched my Watch Play Wednesday the other day. Scott is a videographer and a producer and director, and he does a traveling show that's like Anthony Bourdain sort of style travel show he's working on starting. And I've invited him to go to Gulf Wars and start coming to some events and doing some stuff at events. So he's looking forward to that. Getting to play time traveler and see what the Middle Ages are like. Let's see. Watch Play Wednesdays will probably keep going. I may go down to once a month, mostly because that's a lot goes into that show. As far as other shows, Concert Conversations is a limited run series. We've only got three or four more episodes left. I am going to do one specifically with Sean and Nisa. They don't know this yet, but I'm going to make sure we have one with the two of them, sort of in interview style, as the newest airs. It's going to be flexible. What I do ask from you guys out there, if there's something you want to see, so this show specifically, Coffee with Cal, these are ideas. These are random pop-up topics. I would love to see topics from you guys coming up. If there's something you want me to talk about, or you want to talk about with me, I want to hear about your passions. I want to hear about what you guys got going on. Maybe those shower thoughts. Man, I really wish we could do blah. Let's talk about that. Let's talk about the blah. I don't care what it is. I don't care what it is. If you've got a thing you're passionate about that's a positive topic, like I don't want to get on here and bash, so I don't really want to complain about something. But let's talk. Let's find that topic. So please reach out either if you're friends with me on Facebook, Richard Harris on Facebook, or you reach out to the Kal-bardr Corner Facebook page, or comment below. I guess that works too. Either in the chat over there. I don't know where to chat over there somewhere, or the comments down below. Let's see. Questions. How can you work to connect content creators with ANS officers and autocrats to continue providing event-connected content for folks who can't make the event? Good question, Runa. All right, so if you are an autocrat, an event steward, because I hate the crat thing, pet peeve of Cal's, anything with crat on it needs to go away. Autocrat is actually a correct word. It is the only one that is correct. But because we have autocrats, we also have feastcrats and pottycrats and crapocrats and moneycrats and whatever. Steward, event steward, feast steward, head cook. Let's use those words, please. Thank you. But how can we work to connect those event stewards to our content creators? I don't know. That's a tough question. I think for me personally, if you're an event steward out there and you want me or one of my shows or one of the people that I have connected to do something with or for your event, reach out. Ping me, reach out to me, Logan, Helga and Tulia, Their Majesties the Outlands, any of the hosts from appearing at the Outlands, reach out to some of us. Reach out and say, hey, I know you did this show. We want to do a show on this topic. Can you help us with this? Hey, can you help promote this event? I will happily promote any event. If you want to do a special episode of something to promote your event, reach out. I will happily promote any event. I will happily help live stream. If you need help live streaming something for your event, I'll give you advice. I'll help you, with the platform. I have ways to do that. If you want to do something at the event, again, if you have an idea, reach out. Like the hardest part for me about running these shows is getting the idea for the show in the first place. The actual show production is not very difficult. But having the idea, having the topic, having the content initially is the hardest part. So if you come to me with an idea or something you need, that makes this job a lot easier. Has MGT been scheduled yet? No, it has not, according to Runa. I think they had a tentative date, but it has not officially been scheduled yet. As far as Kingdom events here in Meridian, keep an eye on the Kingdom calendar. I think the only one I know right now that has been scheduled is Coronation. Coronation will be the last weekend in October. All right, let's see. Blood Honey. What do you Blood Honey? I'm not a member of the SCA, but I've enjoyed watching how the SCA and its members have adapted. What will be the approach of the SCA to its non-member audience in the after times? So that's a good question. We sort of addressed a little bit earlier. And I don't know. Actually, I have a follow-up question for you, Blood Honey. How can we do that? What do you, as a non-member, need? So there's a weird phenomenon of you don't know what the other person needs. I don't know what using a member needs because I've been playing for 10 plus years, off and on. So it's really hard for me to see it as a new member to see what you need. It's been interesting for me. I have Kisa, my girlfriend, who is new to the SCA. I mean, now she's been playing for a couple of years since PandAMNic, but for her coming in, it was really weird because she was walking in as a brand new person with me who's been playing for 4, 5, 6 years, and was like, so she got all of the sort of drama of the SCA and the background stuff, not the fun, because that's what I was doing. That's what I was involved in the business. So it's very difficult for me as a older player to see what a new player needs. So for those new folks out there or non-members out there, reach out to us. Let us know what you're looking for or what we can do to encourage you, or questions you have, or what things we can do to encourage non-members. Because I think that's an important thing that we don't know how to do from a recruiting perspective, right? All we can do is sort of show you what we have and what we do in the SCA. And this channel is not SCA specific. We talk about a lot of SCA topics. I'm very SCA focused in this channel. But I don't speak for the SCA. I don't speak for any of the organizations. But I consider myself a Shadowlane just like everybody else should. I am part of the recruitment of the SCA. And it's always something we have trouble with. So, in my opinion, it depends on the mission of the organization. Okay, the education, content, university, etc. is amazing. Okay, so the SCA is an educational organization at its core. Like that's the goal, right? So our goal is to be educational. Now, educational doesn't have to rely on collegiums or universities. Educationals can be this. Like, this is an educational forum, educational talk. I'm not just jabbering for my own sake here. I'm jabbering to educate and to inspire some sort of change. So I think that's my goal personally, is to continue that. I think the SCA's approach, and I won't speak for them, but I think the SCA's approach is going to be what it always was to continue doing that, continue being educational, continue focusing on making sure we're promoting those events. Now that varies wildly depending on where you are. Meridian handles that differently than the West does, and the West handles it differently than even Sinagua does. Like those pockets are going to be different. If there's something you think that we could do better, please reach out. Reach out to your local seneschal. Reach out to somebody like me. If you know somebody that can maybe affect change, reach out. Let us know. Hey, I'd like to see more of this. Hey, I'd like to see less of that. Hey, I'm over here and I see you're doing this cool thing over there. How can we do this over here? Personally, I'm happy to, if you see a cool thing I'm doing that you want to have done in your area, I will happily give you a template. And here's exactly how I did this thing, and help you launch that thing in your area. The biggest thing is having somebody to do it, and having somebody to help drive that and motivate that change to happen, or motivate that thing to happen. Oh, man. So what's everybody doing? July 4th weekend. What's everybody doing today? We got a few more minutes left, and I got a little bit of coffee left. So personally, the girls and I are actually going to be going over to a picnic over in Pensacola with some friends over there. We're doing a park cleanup. So that's gonna be fun. I'm not gonna finish that coffee, guys. It's killing me. Oh man, I can't do an empty cup. It sucks. I don't like it. Hold on, I gotta get it down. I'm doing it. Oh man. All right. Any other questions? Any last minute? We got. I'll give you. We have like 8 minutes left. Right, I got cut off. And thank you all for the questions and comments today. So let's see. Cooking and learning about stained glass. Ooh, stained glass. That's cool. Thank you for that, Elise. And Runa is cleaning house and painting scrolls. Clean the house, Runa. Paint scrolls. I like it. Let's see. And Charles says, yes, the educational access is one of the many aspects I've enjoyed in my 40 years being an SCA member. Yeah, I think personally, for me, the SCA is about education, right? I love the fighting. I love the feasting. I love the parties. But man, I love taking classes. I love learning stuff, even stuff I don't care about. Like I've taken classes on weird stuff that I have no interest in your backwood pottery thing. I have no actual interest in it, but I'll take a class because you're passionate about it. If I see somebody who's passionate about his topic, I'll sit through a class just because I love the passion, right? See, Elfric says he's got a couple friends coming over and they're going to do some campfire cooking. Ooh, neat. Elfric, you're the most rangery ranger I know, just to be clear. I want to see more rangery stuff from you, Elfric. I'm excited. Anybody who doesn't know Elfric, he's a cool guy in South Downs. Archer, he's like, for me, was the weirdest thing coming out of the pandemic. I see this guy show up to an event, like one of the virtual events, fully decked out in garb, had his like the thing with the bow on his shoulder, and he was like ready to go. It was like his first event, first thing he'd ever done in the SCA, but he was like ready. Looked like Legolas coming out of the comic book thing. He was put together, man. So if you want to be a ranger, if you want to be some sort of woodland dude, Elfric's your man. He'll show you how to do it right. Oh man, anything else? Anything else? Any last minute questions? All right. Business, and I'll cup. So next week on Kal-bardr's Corner, I'll be joined by Princess Nisa to talk about for our fifth or sixth episode of Concert Conversations. Talk about what if we both fight. So consorting is weird, especially if both fighters or both the fighter and consort are fighting. It happens. It's actually, I think, fairly common, but nobody's really considered how do we handle that. And obviously, this will deal with a lot more with those consorting jobs. Day of the tournament, that's when it matters more. So tune in for that and get to hear a princess talk. So look forward to that. And the following Sunday on Coffee with Cal, and I don't have a banner made for this. My apologies, but I'll get it up. I'll actually be joined by Lady Runa to talk about invisible disabilities. So the SCA does a good job about talking about disabilities, talking about handicap accidents like that. But we don't talk about invisible disabilities so much. Things that are the pain, the anxieties, the things that cause you to have issues that are not as visible, or sometimes shown as faked. So tune into that. That'll be Coffee with Cal. So concert conversations next Sunday, and then Coffee with Cal the following Sunday on our normal schedule. Let's see. Blood Honey has a question. Can a woman reign as a sole crown? Yes, sort of. Okay, so this is, and again, I'm not speaking of this is outside of my purview, but I will answer this now. I'm fairly certain that to enter a crown list, you have to have a consort. A female presenting person can fight in crown in all the crown lists with a female or male presenting consort. That does not matter. But there is a pair required because it is, as Elise mentioned, it is a lot of work. So it is required to be a pair. Now, there have been singular crowns because one or the other have had to step down or has passed away or been arrested. So I think the East had a queen for a period of time. I don't know how long the period was. May still be. I don't know. I don't remember. But yeah, the Queen of the East, we had a Queen of the East by herself for some period of time. So the answer to your question, Bloodhound, is yes, they can. It is it is uncommon, however, because it would have to be something would have to happen to the consort of that pairing for that to occur after they took over the ring. And then even then, there's a consideration made of whether that person can continue or not, depending on how long this is that. So yeah. I hope that answers your question. I hope that was what you need. Yeah. I think the East has a pair now. I think they did for a while. Like I said, and I'm pretty sure it was the East that had the singular queen for. And this is a little bit ago now, so I think PandAMNic time is weird, but yeah, there was a pair there, or the pair where one of them had to drop off. So yeah, there you go. All right. All that being said, I'm gonna empty cup. Huzzah! I want to thank all of you for tuning in. You guys just make this amazing for me, and I love getting to talk. So thank you all for tuning in. Again, if you have an idea for a show, please reach out. Pause. I'm going to answer this real quick. Okay. I just don't understand how reigning monarchs are always men. Okay. Blood honey. Quick thing for you. And actually, I'd like to follow up with you after this. So if you will message me on the Facebook, reach out to me on Kal-bardr's Corner Facebook. I'll give you a little more detail about this. But reigning monarchs are not always men. They are frequently men because our monarchs in the SCA are won by tournament combat, which is a largely male-presenting dominated sport. So, yeah, to be a monarch in the SCA, you have to win a tournament via hard stick rattan combat. That is one. And that is a generally more difficult thing for women to get into, and the SCA has not been good about making sure women were included as much in that. But they are allowed. In fact, Meridier's in the last Crown tournament had 2 female fighters fight out of the list of 15 rather. So it is a thing. It's not as common. There have been queens by their own hand. There's not been very many. Somebody out there can answer that question. I know there have been at least 3 or 4 or 5. There have been a handful. But yeah, unfortunately, it is a very male-dominated thing because of the nature of the sport and the way it's been promoted. So there you go. Okay, back to my closing. Sorry about that. I wanted to answer that before I got away. So thank you again. Thank you all for joining. If you have an idea for a show, please reach out. Let me know. We will happily. I'll happily get you on for a show. I love you guys. I love your guys' topics. I love you guys' comments and questions. Tune in next week. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe, do all things below. Check us out on Patreon, patreon.com/KK Productions. Join our grand wall of patrons. This quarter's Patreon rewards will be going out here shortly. Well, the surveys will be going out here shortly. And then the rewards will be going out following that. And some new cool stuff coming up, hopefully soon, to the Patreon rewards. Other than that, I'll bid you all adieu. This has been Kal in Kal-bardr's Corner. Have a great day, everybody. Happy 4th.